Hello, my dear friends. Just an edit here. This is the second part of a video that was an hour and a half long. So without further ado, I will allow you to have the second part of my Yankee Candle haul and video. Thank you. All right, let's talk about the fall candles. All right, so I should just say right off, when I went in for the 50% situation, you know, when they had the 50% off of the Woodwicks and you could get a free candle, you know, and all that sort of thing. It was like the weekend. I got a lot of Woodwick candles. And then I bought 2 more Woodwick candles when I went into the Halloween situation because they always like discount 20% a select number of Woodwick candles per month or whatever else, or per season. And the ones that they had discounted are the 2 Woodwicks that I really liked and wanted to try. So even though they're kind of pricey, I went ahead and got those. So I'll reserve the Woodwicks here and I'll talk about them kind of toward the end. But in the process of buying on those 2 occasions, I did buy one candle from their new fall collection, which has, I think, 5 or 6 fragrances in it. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Woodwicks last. Oh, there's a lot of Woodwicks. Oh, all right. So let's just talk about the fall 2025 collection for a second, in which I only bought 1 candle, and that 1 candle is this one right here, Fantastical Fruits. For me, it was the best of the collection. Or at least it was the one that I was most interested in. Let's put it that way. The one I'm most interested in. And this one has a very strange story because in August, and we're talking like 2-3 weeks after this collection launched, they put this candle and only this candle on the clearance rack. And it was bizarre and nobody knows why. I mean, I don't know what the story of it is. The other candles in the collection are, you know, front and center in the store, given pride of place. And the only fragrance that went to the clearance rack after 2 weeks was Fantastical Fruits. I cannot even begin to understand why. This one actually has pretty good reviews. Many of the other ones don't on the website, especially for strength and throw. Apparently this one performs better than many of the other candles in the collection. I think smells better than a few of the other ones in the collection. I don't understand after 2 weeks. 2 weeks, like we're still in August, they would have put this on the clearance rack. I mean, is there something wrong with it? I don't know. But like I said, it's got good reviews on the website. People are very happy with it, very upset that it's on the clearance rack, hoping that it comes back again, etc., etc. So I have no idea. I mean, this company just seems, I don't know what's going on. I really don't. There are a couple in that collection that if you were going to clearance them out after 2 weeks, I would have done. Even if you were going to clearance one of them off, wouldn't you wait till like September? You know, give it a chance. What are you going to know after 2 weeks, right? Especially when you're dropping all kinds of Halloween stuff all around it too. Like you have to kind of let the dust clear a little bit before you throw something on a clearance rack, which makes me think there's something wrong with it. But then if there was something wrong with it, they would have recalled it, or there would be more reviews indicating what's wrong with it. So I have no idea. I liked Fantastical Fruits the best, partly because, as you can see, the blueberries are front and center on this design. This candle reminds me a lot of Blueberry from Yankee Candle, and you all know that I love the OG Blueberry candle from Yankee. I think this candle is at least 70% just straight up blueberry. That blueberry candle. It might even be more than 70, but I think it's at least 70% just blueberry. And then the 30% is elderberry, and it's a very strong elderberry note. So it is significantly enough different from Yankee Candle Blueberry because the elderberry is so strong. And if you're familiar with elderberry, It kind of smells like a blackberry that has a little bit of a medicinal overtone to it. It's not my favorite smell in the world. I do love elderberry syrup though. There's this company, what is it called? Grandma Ruth? Is it Grandma Ruth? You know, it's a very popular like organic kind of company, and they've got this elderberry syrup with the dropper. I swear by it. I swear by it. And I'm like not one of those like alternative medicine kind of people. I'm just not. But I'll tell you what, when I take that elderberry syrup, I feel like I either don't get sick, or if I'm sick, I get better quickly. I don't know, maybe it's just placebo, but I usually can't stand stuff like that. And I just buy bottles of it in the fall and in the winter. So I'm kind of familiar with the way that elderberry smells and tastes, you know? There's a lot of elderberry in here. But like I said, don't get it twisted. It's probably at least 70% Yankee Candle blueberry. The whole candle is at half mast compared to OG Yankee blueberry. OG Yankee blueberry will make the walls of your house bleed. I mean, even the on cold smell is just like, bam. Yankee Candle blueberry is a blueberry smell, but it's got an enormous amount of violet and musk in it at the same time. So it's kind of a blueberry conceptual. And it's polarizing for that. People who didn't grow up with it, first of all, in the 80s and in the 90s, in my experience, have a tendency to dislike it strongly. People who came to it much later as well are confused because they don't think it smells enough like blueberry. Like it's just a straight up blueberry candle because it's got all those other things in it. For those of us who grew up on it, I mean, it's just the height of nostalgia, number one. And it's probably, arguably, the most OG Yankee Candle that there can possibly be in terms of its success, in terms of its popularity, in terms of its ubiquity from the 80s. I mean, I don't think that there's any Yankee Candle that has the profile, frankly, and has the reputation that blueberry does. And so a lot of why I like it probably comes from those factors of it. It is its own bird. It's as simple as that. And there's a lot of people, especially newcomers, who didn't grow up with it, who kind of are confused by it. At any rate, if you don't like blueberry from Yankee Candle, perhaps you wouldn't like this. I don't know. I do think that if you like blueberry from Yankee Candle, you're already halfway toward liking this fragrance, though. I mean, it's kind of, it's very smart of them, frankly, to have included a candle like this in their fall collection, which is over half a very popular, like, traditional candle for them in their collection. Yeah, and it also I'm just confused as to why it would be on the clearance rack. I just think it's probably the most successful of the fall candles that they've got right now in that collection. But there you go. The top notes are black elderberry, blueberry, and blackberry. So no tricks or surprises there. Mid notes are chantilly cream. Might be some vanilla. It kind of smells like a vanilla extract though, rather than like a true vanilla. Weirdly, peach. Yeah, so there is like a very bright stone fruit sweetness to this, especially if you think about peach when you're smelling it. Patchouli. I mean, there is something very bassy and musky about original blueberry. Otherwise, I don't know that you would pick up on the patchouli necessarily. Base notes are sugared sandalwood, macaron, accord, and vanilla. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty close to a true gourmand. Yes, because of that blueberry musky overtone to it, it's probably not 100% a gourmand, but I would think that a lot of gourmand people and people who like their jammies, you know, their jammy candles for the fall would really like this candle. I think it's good, and like I said, it seems to be very successful. So this was the, did I get this as the free candle? No, I didn't. I had a candle that I was returning, exchanging, and I exchanged it for this one. It was a 3-wick, so I went ahead and got this 3-wick. Yeah, I'm happy. I mean, I'll burn it and I'll let you know what I think, but I think that it's a sure bet. And it's on clearance now. So there you go. Bizarre, just absolutely bizarre. The rest of them are not on clearance, and I don't know why, because let's start out with the best one, I think, or the one that everybody is gonna like the best, which is Enchanted Orchard, and it looks like this. I obviously didn't buy any of the rest of them, so I'm just gonna flash pictures up. This is Enchanted Orchard. It's a nice kind of dusty light green color. I thought it was the best of the bunch in terms of it being the one that most people are gonna like. It does have a very strong caramel note in it. So it does have apple as advertised by both the name and by, you know, the marketing there. But I would say that the apple is kind of a second fiddle to caramel and spice. And it is a very strong caramel spice note to it. There might be a back note of something kind of woody, but for the most part, and from what you would expect from a soy-ish candle, you're mainly picking up on the mid and top notes there, which is very sweet and very warm, you know, amberfied and very spicy. So it's a traditional kind of apple spice, caramel with some apple kind of candle. It's not reinventing the wheel. I mean, it's a pretty generic like apple spice candle, but it's not bad, especially if you like more carameled or sweetened apple spice candles. You could do worse. So that's Enchanted Orchard. I just wasn't buying it. You know, I don't love caramel. It's a little too sweet for me. And apple spice candles are a dime a dozen. So God bless. Look, I will say this. At least we didn't have 6 versions of like bad cologne conceptuals like last year, you know? For the most part, they steered away from that, and that's a big step up for Yankee Candle. Yes, just give us a generic like apple spice candle with caramel. Like that's better than like 5 versions of flannel. You know what I mean? So in that sense, this is a better collection than fall collection than we've seen from Yankee for a few years, right? They did have one men's cologne-ish smelling candle, and that was Moonlit Woods, which looks like this, kind of in this deep like periwinkle color. It is, for me, it smelled like a cross between flannel from Bath & Body Works and mahogany teak wood. So there you go. I mean, it wasn't, and it was, I would say, just a touch softer and more palatable than both of them from Bath & Body Works. So it was just a little bit less aggressive than both flannel and mahogany teak wood are from Bath & Body Works, but it was like kind of stuck right in the middle, a little bit softer. I mean, for their cologne conceptuals, it was definitely more palatable than some of them have been in the past. There's just no question. And if you like flannel and mahogany teak wood from Bath & Body Works, you would probably like this candle. So there you go. I don't really have a whole lot else to say about it because once again, it really wasn't innovative. It really wasn't giving us anything new. And yeah, I just, mercifully, it was really the only men's cologne conceptual in the bunch. So there's that at least. Glistening Leaves looks like this. I think this is the toughest sell of all of them in the collection. And if they were gonna throw one on the clearance pile after 2 weeks, it probably should have been this one. I think it's a very off-putting smell. It's one of those candles, and they've done a few of these in the recent past, even in the last few months, with that one candle, the herbal tea candle that just smelled like a cough drop, you know? They've done these very medicinal leaning candles of late. Glistening Leaves is medicinal. It's medicinal. It's got an enormous amount of citrus on the top, kind of like that one herbal tea candle that just smelled like lemon and herbal medicine. That's kind of, this one is more palatable than that, there's no question. But it has an enormous amount of citrus on top, a lot of lemon, you know, so it sets your teeth on edge right at the top, you know, and then it's combined with, again, kind of a medicinal herbal smell that could be sage or something like that, you know. It might have some tree in it, maybe, kind of a back note of tree, a lot of amber, but the whole thing, like I said, sets your teeth on edge. It's just not a pleasant candle, and I don't know if it's been particularly popular. So there's Glistening Leaves. yeah, it's a no for me. It's a hard no. The most generic of the collection and possibly the most unseasonal is Harvest Gems, which looks like this. Harvest Gems is bright red, and it is just a very generic Bath & Body Works kind of fruity sweetness. The kind of generic fruity sweetness that frankly seems like it would be more at home in summer or in spring. There really wasn't enough like darkness or muskiness or nothing bassy to anchor it. So it just kind of seemed like, bam, there's a lots of fruits and sugars for you. You know what I mean? And some of the fruits were unseasonal. So there's peach in it, for instance. You have, again, a very high stone fruit note in it, which is just not seasonal to the fall. It's really not. I mean, you might be able to get away with it in August. So, but we're into September now at this point. You know what I mean? So maybe that's the one they should clearance in August. We're done with it. It had a 2-week shelf life, and now we're done. Because you can't burn this for September. It's a very raspberry forward candle. So it's an enormous amount of raspberries, which raspberries are already high and a little floral. And then you add the peach stone fruit to it and it goes even sweeter and brighter. So there's that. Yeah, not a fan of that. And it did seem a bit unseasonal. Also just very superficial. It was a very superficial candle and one that you would expect at Bath & Body Works, but also one that you would expect at Bath & Body Works to be a very mid candle. Like even at Bath & Body Works, it wouldn't be one that everybody was rushing out to get. It's not as good as like Raspberry Rosé, for instance, from Bath & Body Works, which I think is fantastic. Yeah. Then there's also Golden Pumpkin, which is a darker amber color. This might get some people on board. It is just dominated by cinnamon. And unfortunately, it's a red hot cinnamon. So if you like red hot cinnamon, this is your candle. It might be a little bit softer than just, it's softened with something. So maybe that's the pumpkin part of it. But as you well know, you put a red hot cinnamon note into any kind of candle, there's a very good chance it's going to overwhelm everything else, especially if the everything else is somewhat subtle. So unfortunately, that was this candle. Just smelled very generic. Just smelled like a candle you could get from Michael's, you know, or something like that, CVS. It's fine for that kind of genre, but frankly, I think that genre and that profile is kind of a low bar. So there you go. There's that. That's the collection. For me, Fantastical Fruits is kind of the standout. And I think it works well for the concept, for the season, to seasonality. I think it was good. I do think that the Enchanted Orchard is probably a good second. While it is generic, it is generic. And at least it goes for the season and is very a mainline smell. So you could do worse than Enchanted Orchard. Everything else is just kind of like, you know what I mean? So not terrible. And at least there was an okay range of things that they had there, and they weren't all men's colognes. So a step up from last year, but you know, it wasn't brilliant. And there's absolutely no reason that Fantastical Fruits should be on the clearance rack unless something is very wrong with it. So I can't even begin to understand that. There's also a little mini collection of other fall returning favorites that they had kind of in the front of their store. And they did have 2 new candles to add to that collection, one of which is Crisp Forest Air, which looks like this, kind of a dark hunter green. It was fine. It was very like a soft lavender oak. So there's this lavender oak candle that they have, and I can't remember exactly what the name of it is, but it's kind of a very austere lavender wood, which is pretty good for them and, you know, kind of up in my wheelhouse. This was like that, but just a little softer and weaker. So I would say that we don't need it, but it's there. And then there was this new one, Rustling Rain, which has a tobacco flower note in it, amongst other things. I did not think it was good. Again, I found it to be a very off-putting candle. I don't know if it's the mixture of things that they've got in it, but I did not like it at all. And I think I'm the target audience for this kind of a candle. So I don't even know how to describe it to you except off-putting. I don't know. It was a collision of a lot of different elements. When Yankee Candle goes insane with, like, you know, when they do their insane candle of all the different unexpected combinations, sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. This is an example of a candle that has too many things in it and none of them are working well with each other. It's not good. It's really not good. It doesn't really have any aquatic overtones to it either. So if you're after it for that concept, again, it's a fantasy concept that has nothing to do with the notes in it. The other one in that collection that is new is Soft Cashmere, and I actually liked this candle. I thought it smelled good. Unfortunately, again, it was even less than half mast. That flag was down at the floor, was down at the ground. You know what I mean? Like, you had to like rub it, smell it, rub it, smell it. Am I smelling anything? But what I'm smelling, I really, really like. I think that it's a nice conceptual. It's basic, yes, but it's a lot of vanilla, and then it's got that like soapy freshness to it, you know? It's just not as complex or as rich or as unexpected as Sweet Sugar, or you know, the Sugar Flurries candle from 2 years ago, or Spooky Sweets. It's kind of in the same category. It's just less of all of those. And it's also like performing at far less than all of those. So I wouldn't encourage you to necessarily get it, but I think they were headed in the right direction there. It's just obviously not going to perform and does seem maybe several fragrance elements shy of where it should be. So there's that. Last but not least, well, actually a couple things. I did buy some Woodwick candles here. I maybe have tried one Woodwick candle before. I've tried some Woodwick candles from Root Candle Company that I very much liked. And many of the fragrances, or at least the concepts of Woodwick, I kind of am attracted to. Some of them smell real strange though, I'm not gonna lie to you, and they do seem a bit overpriced probably for what they are. However, since these were 50% off or 20% off, I went ahead and bought a lot of them. So I've got several Woodwick candles now for this season and for the winter, and I'll try to burn them and kind of figure out what they are like and how they do. These are just the smaller ones with the little tiny like wick here. I just didn't want to buy a really big size one. However, I do know that I'll probably need to adjust my expectations about what kind of strength output they can give me. But yeah, this one, it was 20% off because it is on sale for this season. This is Phantom Cherry. And if you're a huge fan of like the cherry genre with Lost Cherry from Tom Ford, you would really like this candle. I like this candle. This is a really good, deeper, darker cherry fragrance. Yeah, I really like it. It does smell a tiny bit waxy, which I'm a bit concerned about. But otherwise, it's like a really nice cherry fragrance that is not too sweet and has some like darker, muskier elements about it. I really like that candle. I think it smells good. The other one that was 20% off was, here it is. I haven't unwrapped it. It's blue. This one. Antiquarium. I'm confused now. Antiquarium, see with the blue, it makes you think of aquarium, but then antiquarium, but an antiquarian with an IAN is somebody who studies antiquities. So have they done a play on words here with antiquarian and aquarium, which is kind of clever? Or is there something really that's an antiquarium? Oh, somebody help me out. I feel so ignorant. Anyway, I like the smell of it. Ooh, it's so different. Yes, there's something masculine about it. A lot of these Woodwicks are. I can't even explain it because it's really just like an amazing, complex conceptual. It's kind of like, you know how like the trending thing is that like smells like paper. It's a papery conceptual. This one actually does smell like papery. Maybe that's why, that's the play on the Antiquarium, like kind of paper-like. Yeah, with a little bit of musk, but there's a brightness to it too. I can't explain. It's just a really interesting conceptual and I'm here for it. So I don't have the notes here for you, but you know, if I do a dedicated review, I'll do it then. The ones that I bought for the 50% off are Wood Smoke here, which I think is one of their like more mainline ones for Woodwick. And it just smells like a really nice like fireplace. It has a creaminess to it though that seems a little tonka-like. And the tonka is cutting some of the like aggressiveness of the smoke. And I kind of like it. Yeah, it's got a lot of vanilla tonka bean in it. And then this one here, which is Volcanic Oris. Now this was in these like, this was like a shiny, I don't know if you can see it, it's like kind of sparkly. And then this one, it was supposed to be like metallic series and they were just more expensive randomly for no reason. And now they're on clearance, so there you go. Volcanic Oris, I kind of liked. Yeah, it's just it's a masculine conceptual, but it's lighter and brighter. It's kind of in the mid to high range. And there's like a warm, vague woodiness about it, but maybe it's just a little bit of smokiness. But there's also sweetness about it. I can't like explain more than that. Melanite Mist I got just because it was so unusual smelling. Oh, so unusual, and it's so strong. This smells like a wet rock. Like, it's got a lot of that petrichor, you know, like the rain smell with the minerals all coming out of the earth. Very strong. And then this, like, it smells like a wet rock, but it's weirdly pleasant. It's so bizarre. A lot of aquatic briny notes in it too. This is an after the rain kind of candle with, like I said, a lot of like rock overtones to it. I was talking to Connor from Connor Loves Candles because we were smelling it, and I said they could totally have repackaged this as a Halloween fragrance and they could have called it like Dark Dungeon or something like that. You know what I mean? I have to say, like, Yankee Candle has a lot of issues, obviously, but like, honestly, some of the biggest and easiest fixes for them have to do with mismarketed fragrances. Just mismarketed. They have some really good fragrances that they have like undermined with weird or just obscure concepts and names. And if they just marketed it correctly, they would find their audience. Bath & Body Works every now and then does that, and actually the Cocoa Roasted Chestnuts is like a perfect example of a candle that was marketed as an out-and-out gourmand to gourmand people, and because it was none of the above, didn't find its core audience, and everybody was just mad that it wasn't a straight-up gourmand. That's just a marketing blunder. There was a gorgeous fragrance, but it was just completely mismarketed, and people couldn't get over that, right? It happens a lot with Yankee Candle, a lot. They will, the few fragrances they have that are actually really brilliant just go under a name that's just not appropriate. Sweet Vanilla Horchata. Didn't smell anything like a Sweet Vanilla Horchata at all, but was in fact a beautiful, exotic, complex conceptual that should have been marketed in a different way. I mean, it is a little bit of a hot mess of a fragrance, so I don't know that it would have like been a bestseller even with the right marketing, but it would have done a whole hell of a lot better than it did because all the gourmand people said they hated it and sometimes couldn't even articulate why they hated it. But mainly it was because they went into it thinking they were gonna get a Sweet Vanilla Horchata and in fact did not. And they didn't have like either the wherewithal, the imagination, or like the personal open-mindedness enough to be able to describe what exactly it was as opposed to what it wasn't. And then it's just panned and then it doesn't come back. Yankee just does this a lot. You know, Sean from Hearthside is always like, call me, I'll come, I'll help you out. Like, this is the only arena in which I feel like I would actually be an asset. Somebody like me for Yankee Candle that's like, I'll tell you what this candle is. I'll tell you what this fragrance is. This is the way that you want to market it. It's this. It's this. Like, man, there's just, they really need somebody on their marketing team. You know, they have all kinds of fragrances that come in from their perfumers, and then they have concepts that they're working with, and then they try to match them. But it just seems like in that company, there are too many mismatches. And it's not just once a year, it's usually multiple times a year where they put something out that is just like, what the actual fuck, you know? Where they're like, and I used to tease that, like, I think it's their drunk like Christmas party, you know? They must choose the fragrances and the names and concepts during their Christmas party when everyone is like, you know, completely like just out of their mind drunk, right? And then they just have like bowls of perfumes on one side and concepts on the other, and somebody just picks them out randomly and they're like, yeah, great, you know? Movie night Coco is going to be a spring floral. Everyone's like, yeah. I mean, it's a joke, but like, seriously, it bothers me the most when they have a great fragrance that just doesn't get the attention that it deserves, or it gets negative attention because it's just the wrong concept. And so people come to it expecting something that they're not getting, you know, because it's just a waste. And this company does not have the margin to be making blunders and errors like that. This company, the very few fragrances that they do develop that are above average, they cannot afford to bury those fragrances. Okay. I'm sorry for that. And I'm sorry at the length of this video. My free candle, which nobody could possibly have guessed, was Tiki Bar. So did you even notice this collection from the summer? They had like this 4-candle mini collection in the summer that was supposed to be the transition point between summer and fall. There was like Paradise Pumpkin, which was like, didn't smell like anything pumpkin related. It was just a solar floral, you know? I mean, it was just a lot of, again, bullshit candles and concepts, you know? That, surprise, surprise, it didn't sell well. I actually thought that this one of the 4 was the most interesting to me, and I almost kind of liked it. It is very superficial, and I'm worried that it's gonna smell cheap when it burns. But this is the only one that actually could carry pretty well into the fall, because it's supposed to be Tiki Bar. It says rum, cinnamon, and lime. It's not particularly boozy, but you've kind of got a back note of, it almost smells like a booze or an alcohol that you've like burned the alcohol out of it. So it's kind of like the shadow of booze, but I do love rum, so I'll go in for it. And then, so there's kind of that dark, like sugary kind of bitter rum smell. And then there's cinnamon. And oh man, it almost goes red hot, but it just stays on this side of it. And then there's this like fruitiness, like a fruit punch kind of smell. It's just less sweet and less synthetic smelling than an actual fruit punch, you know? And the whole thing goes very like mulling spices, mulled cider kind of a little bit, which means that this one actually does travel pretty well into the fall. And I'm gonna try it and we'll have to see. It was free, right? So I really did try in my free candle to get a candle that like I didn't want to spend money on, but if it's free, hey, why not, right? And it's a single wick on top of it. I am concerned, and I was telling Connor, I am concerned that when I burn it, it's just gonna go full board fruit punch Kool-Aid. But I actually thought of the four, it was the one that smelled the most like a more complicated drink, you know, so there you go. Very last but not least, did you know that Chesapeake Bay is going away? Liz from Yankee Candle, I went to 2 Yankee Candles in the big city in Richmond, and Connor is at one of them, and then Liz, I stopped in this other Yankee to look for the rustling tobacco leaf one, and I was, you know, an associate came up to me and she was like, can I help you with something? And then she was like, oh, I know who you are. I watch your channel. It's the first time I've ever been like recognized out in the wild. So it's kind of a moment for me. Anyway, Liz is a dear assistant manager at Yankee Candle, or a manager at Yankee Candle. And so we talked for a really long time about all kinds of different things. Anyway, she was like, I watched your video about Yankee Candle, but did you know that Chesapeake Bay is going away? And I was like, no. She's like, they just don't sell well in our store. I'm like, well, that's true. You know, I mean, they're not exactly promoted either, and they're never on sale, you know, so I don't really know why that company has just not devoted any time to Chesapeake Bay, you know. You can still find them in the outlets, but you can't find them for the most part in like Target stores anymore, at least not the classic ones. So I saw on Facebook Marketplace that a woman was selling crates of Chesapeake Bay pumpkin bourbon and was selling the entire box for $20, and it's a 4-pack box. So I bought a whole box of pumpkin bourbon for $20. Pumpkin bourbon has never been like my absolute favorite Chesapeake Bay. It's a little too much maple, a little bit too much butter. Yeah, I would prefer a little bit more booze and a little bit more pumpkin. It's just too buttery for me, but you know, in honor of Chesapeake Bay, if nothing else, I just wanted to get them. So I now have a crate of pumpkin bourbon candles, and I foresee a giveaway sometime soon. How many of you would like a pumpkin bourbon candle? Just kind of a last gasp, a swan song for Chesapeake Bay. God bless. So there you go. I am so sorry about the length of this video. I may actually split it up. I may split it up into 2. So, yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do, because this is just inappropriate. You know what I mean? And I understand it taxes, I'm taxing the goodwill of my subscribers more than I think is appropriate even for me. So I am gonna split this video up. It'll still be a good, you know, 40-45 minutes a piece. But I think that's a little bit more manageable. There you go. There's all my Yankee stuff that I bought. Mostly I'm happy with the things that I got. I especially like the 2 Target candles that I got. And I'm interested in burning my like blueberry elderberry candle. I am kind of interested to see how some of these Woodwicks will perform as well. And I was happy to give you the rundown on all the candles that I didn't purchase from the fall collection and from the Halloween collection. Apologies to all of you who smelled those candles differently or have favorites that somehow I like downplayed or didn't like very much. It's obviously not personal. I'm just trying to kind of explain it how I smelled it, explained it how I saw it. So, but it's obviously just one woman's opinion, so please take it with a grain of salt. Thanks so much for joining me, my friends. I have actually another Kringle haul coming up of candles that I'm actually very happy with. I did another Kringle situation, but the Labor Day sale was just so good. So I bought some more Kringle candles, and I will talk about those. I have a little tiny mini haul from Glass House. I now have 2 Bath & Body Works candles that I need to review that I've burned all the way down. So look for those. And I guess I'll catch you when I try one of those out. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much, my friends, for joining me. I'll catch you in the next one.